We're doing the Aradale Mental Hospital, or it used to be called the Ararat Lunatic Asylum. It does have two sister asylums in Kew and Beechworth, and they were all built due to the growing population and mental illness surrounding all the people that came here for the gold rush. So a lot of people, a lot of people came here thinking they were going to discover their fortune, got here, didn't discover anything, and lost their minds. Construction actually began in 1864, and it was officially, the first prisoner went in there in 1866, like 67.
Well, it started off back then for that reason of it was basically people were deemed being lunatics, really.
Yeah, well, there was different things that you could be put in a mental asylum for back in the day. So asthmatic, postnatal depression, hanging out with the wrong crowd.
Jeez, wouldn't want that to happen now, would you?
Feeling bad about yourself.
Yeah.
And obviously then the other associated mental illness things, so like PTSD, what they call PTSD today, bipolar, personality disorders and all that sort of thing. And if your family decided that you were a little bit cuckoo, they could admit you as well.
Exactly. And I feel that when you see the building, when you see Aradale, it in its heyday, it was so bougie and grand, and people with money, because remember there was people back then with a lot of money, when they actually thought that maybe a family member was going a bit, you know, cuckoo, they're a lunatic or whatever, they've actually paid top dollar to send them to the asylum.
But with the top dollar, you got the best view.
Well, you got right on top, on the upper level, with all the big bougie windows and the grand view looking over, you know, the rolling hills and that sort of stuff. It was just crazy. But as we have learnt, they may have been there for a little while, and then they sort of made their way down in the ranks, and then more people came up, they went down levels and so forth. But they mixed the criminally insane.
Yes, they did. For 20 years they had both mental and criminally insane patients all in the same facility. So in 1887, J Ward, which is in a different part of Ararat, was actually had been built, and the criminally insane had gone there. One famous person at J Ward was Chopper Reed.
Yeah, I think there were actually quite a few other famous ones, but I think a famous person that you may remember, I guess, if you're in Australia, definitely would be, you know, Chopper Reed. He was only actually there for a short time, but yeah, crazy. Again, there's so much information, so I'm just going to quickly read on our notes here. It
did officially close in 1993.
That was the whole asylum.
Yes,
was shut down.
But it officially closed in 1998. So while they were closing it, the female patients were actually still kept there.
That was interesting.
And then once that was officially closed, they got moved on.
Yeah.
So in its heyday, it actually housed up to 1,000 patients at any one time, with staff of up to 500. So that's 2 patients per one staff member.
And it was literally a town in a town. They do say that there's over 70 abandoned buildings in the actual asylum grounds, whatever you want to call it. They had a piggery, they had produce,
markets,
general store, that type of thing as well.
Yeah, so it was a town inside its town, basically, so that no one had to leave to go into Ararat itself.
Yep. It is also, this is definitely very chilling, it is known as Australia's most haunted location.
Yeah, so there was 13,000 patients, staff, and other people that worked there that died in the 130 years of operation. So what are we looking at? We're looking at 100, you know, over 100 each.
Insane. literally insane. Tell me about the ha-ha walls.
Oh, so the ha-ha wall, so inside the actual facility, the walls were quite tall and had a trench. So that when the patients came out, to them the walls were quite high and they looked, you know, you're not going to be able to escape from them. From the outside though, people looking in, the walls were quite low, so that the patients didn't look like that they were being imprisoned.
Yeah.
So
Again,
it was
looked fancy. I think it was a bit of false, what's the word there? Like, yeah, giving them something that they weren't really getting.
false advertisement.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
What other information?
What other fun facts have we got? We're going to be doing this in a couple of stages as well. As we mentioned, we've got the ghost tour tonight.
Yeah.
We are going back and we are doing J Ward. That will be done during the day, and we are going to see what other investigating we can do around the asylum and the area.
make me go really, really cold. Are you standing right next to me? Because I'm just freezing cold. Did you work down here?
So I've just entered the infirmary, the men's infirmary, and I have been instructed to walk to the end and back to give clearance. I've got to say I'm feeling freezing cold in here. It is bitterly cold. Bitterly cold. Wow, that actually felt really warm, that part.
Downstairs. Why should we go downstairs?
Did you fall down the stairs? Can you tell us what happened in this room? It smells really bad in here.
Okay, time for us to go. Thank you for chatting to us. Thank you for showing us that you're here. Did you do them with your fingers?
Can you see?
I can see the gouges. Can you see me?
We're back.
We are.
Guess what? We survived the asylum.
We did.
We made it through the night. It was full on. By the time we got back to the caravan, it was literally after 3 a.m. in the morning. But it was absolutely unbelievable. Just, yeah. I hope you enjoyed the footage. It is very hard to film in dark,
Yep.
especially in conditions like that. What was your favourite part?
Well, I like where the bath was, because as soon as we went in there, Ghost Tube said to us demonic, which I was like, ooh, that's a bit,
Yeah.
how you going?
Yep.
But then it did say in there, surgery, and I want to leave here, hospitalisation, and I'm not well, because the baths were, they used to put him in there in boiling water, and then scald them, and then from there transfer them into an ice bath.
Well, they thought that was shock therapy, one
Yeah.
form of shock therapy.
Yeah.
And the bar, if you notice the bar there, they actually used to, I'm going to say handcuff them, restrain them there. So therefore they couldn't actually hop out of the scalding water. Oh my gosh, just horrific.
Yeah, but the doctors had, I think it was a pole, and they used to push them under so they couldn't raise their body out. And basically his skin would peel off, and then they'd throw him in the ice bath. But she was saying, due to a lot of infections, people who had that sort of therapy died. I mean, can you imagine being burnt alive in like boiling water and then being thrown into an ice bath, and that was supposed to cure your mental illness?
Yeah.
They also believe that mental illness was transported through the air. So if you're in an area that had high airflow, that your mental illness would flow away in the air.
That's literally crazy. Reason why it was built on top of the hill. But the thing is, it's known as Madman's Hill.
It is.
we could just stand here and go on and on and on and on. I'm just going to say a couple of things. I know I talk a lot, but a couple of things for me were definitely in the morgue. I did conquer my fears of, I'm actually claustrophobic. But I did say literally to you leading up to doing this tour, if I had the opportunity to either one, lay on the autopsy table, that was definitely something I was going to do. I know it's crazy, and probably I'm only ever going to do this hopefully twice in my life. Got to go in the morgue refrigerator. Which was as well one of the original refrigerators in the morgue from way back. I was in there for around about, you said a minute
a minute and a half.
The feeling in there was, there was definitely a lot of energy going on in there. But you know what? In saying that I'm claustrophobic, I actually felt calm. So that was really weird.
The other interesting area was down in the...
was it the infirmary?
No, where they stored all the food.
Oh, we did have some action down there, didn't we?
Yeah, so we had the...
That's actually below the ground too, just saying.
Yeah, so the K2 went off, and I had a couple of interactions with Come Closer. I'm in the corner. So I went over to the corner where the K2 had gone off, and it was like walking into a fridge. So the air around, because down there, when you go through the building, it goes from hot to cold, hot to cold. But downstairs wasn't too bad. But when I walked, it said, I'm in the corner, come closer. It was like someone had turned the aircon on and it was blowing on you super, super, super cold. But apart from that, I didn't have anything that really was scary. That sort of gave me apart from the just chill down the spine and stuff like that. But sometimes you get that really heebie-jeebie sort of feeling. I didn't really get that. The only place I really got that was when she put me in the room and then shut the door, and me and another guy were in separate rooms, but in there, because it's
that was in the infirmary.
Yeah, in the infirmary. She put me in the one room. There's a little peephole, and that's about it. That I got the heebie-jeebies. I did have ghost tube on, but I didn't get anything. But the thing was, because it's so dark, it just felt like a cloak of darkness was being wrapped around you, and that was the only bit where I got
maybe
the
like
real
a heaviness,
really heebie-jeebies. That, you know, it's like, it's something you can't fight, because it's so black, it just encompasses you, even though there was a little light.
Well, the light was, sorry, I'm just gonna, you sort of missed this bit. The little peephole was the light of where the surgeries then were to be done. So the 2 cells were the 2 patients that then made it out to the surgery area. Enlighten our viewers on how they did your 3 options, basically your 3 options that you had.
So to be anaesthetised, because they didn't have any anaesthetism there.
Yeah.
So the first one was a shot of alcohol. The second one was...
you'd pass out after the first incision.
Yep, let that happen. Or mildly choked out.
Strangulation.
Yes, until you passed out, and then they would perform surgery. There was a doctor there that was doing lobotomies, and he used to travel around in a van, horse and carriage or van, and his claim to fame was he could do your lobotomy in under 3 minutes. So like a big long needle was inserted in here with a hammer, tap, 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 wiggle it around, pop, other eye, pop, done, and that was your lobotomy.
Seriously? Like, would you trust him? Like,
your
nah.
mobile lobotomist.
Nah.
You know, your mobile lobotomist.
a trace and I follow. Make a wish and I make it come true. Want you to know you'll be okay. For all I know.
That wraps up this adventure.
What a day we've had. Like, what a whole experience that we've had since we did the asylum and then J Ward today. J Ward. Wow, there's definitely some stories in there, and the things that went on, like the history of it was just incredible.
And the people, I call them patients, prisoners. You know, the things they got up to as well, and you know, they were stripped butt naked, 7:30 at night, put into their cells, and then I think it was 6:30 the following morning they were opened and then given their clothes back. That was basically so they couldn't harm themselves. But a lot of them snuck contraband items back into their cells and did crazy things with them. So
that's it. And the amount of I don't want to call them prisoners, but they were the amount of prisoners, and I guess too mentally ill, that were actually locked in the few cells that they had until they did the other section, which was J Ward. It was crazy.
Yeah, well, there was these ones that were flat packed, sent from England before these cells were built, and they're putting 25 prisoners into those cells, which would really accommodate.
I wouldn't even want to be in there. One person.
Yeah, maybe 3 or 4 people, but they're putting 25 people in there at a time because that's all they had. There was no running water there. They didn't have sewerage. So
that only got fitted in the 1930s.
The running water. Yeah, but sewage didn't get fitted until later, like the 90s. So even up in 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, they were locked in their room at night with a potty. And then that had to get emptied in the morning. But a lot of them there, because they had mental issues, the nurses would end up wearing that as soon as they unlocked the doors. So it's pretty hard to cover every inmate that was there, but we'll just touch briefly on one. Well, we did mention earlier that Chopper was in there, but good old Gary, he was a bit of a character, wasn't he? Like, seriously, who's going to chop their man bits off like 3 times? Like, so he did it the first time.
Oh my goodness.
And they attached part of it. Did it the second time, and they attached part of it. They did it a third time, and basically he pushed it through the peephole. So I'm going to say it was small then. And a nurse thought it was a slug, so she stepped on it.
Yeah.
And then he got quite upset about it, but the doctor basically said it was too damaged, so yeah, weren't getting anything put there.
But then he wanted to complain because he said he wrote a letter and said that this wasn't good enough. He was a man and he wanted to go to the toilet like a man and not sit like a woman. But he chopped his own wanger off. And then you know what they did? Yep, they sent out nurses and yeah, they gave him a catheter. But he was brutal. He was so brutal that they actually brought in a new legislation that literally meant that he was never coming out.
Yeah, so he wrote letters threatening things like, when I get out of here, I'm going to poison the water supply. When I'm going to get out here, I'm going to make Whole Street Massacre seem like a walk in the playground. And it wasn't until he actually wrote a letter saying that he was going to track down every single member of Parliament in Victoria and kill them. So then they took action after that, introduced this new law, and he was never, ever, ever to be released as well.
Yeah.
But wasn't he the one that put a hole in the cell and escaped?
Yeah, he escaped. Yep, he escaped.
So he stole a toothbrush.
Yep. Modded it up.
Yep. Managed to cut all the bricks in 25 minutes because the mortar was just sand and lime.
Yeah.
So he managed to do that, got into the next cell that was unlocked, got up to near the roof, got all the bricks out of there, and he stayed on the roof for 2 days. Wouldn't come down.
But remember, the thing that caught him out was
he hated thunder and lightning. He was scared of it. And when a big storm came over, he decided to come back into the prison.
He came back in. The stories you hear, but again, if you do want to find out more information, do a little bit of research on J Wood, do a little bit of research on the asylum. It's just fascinating.
The other funny one got me. So all the walls used to be 90 degrees until one prisoner, he could climb up the side of the wall without a problem. So they then turned him into 45-degree angles. So he would leg it in the morning, get over the wall, and he would knock on the big door at 5 o'clock at night and go, "What's for dinner?"
Crazy.
So he used to go out throughout the day and come back at night. So.
Well, like we've read, they did say that they still had a sense of humour back in the day. We did see the 3 spots of the inmates that are actually buried there as well, where those markings were that you would have seen on the video. But yeah, a lot has gone on. We've made our way now to the cemetery.
Yep.
We're going to have a little bit of a wander around here. It is a huge cemetery. The one thing that we did learn was back in 1820 there were a few remains and graves that were moved to here, because where we did go at J Ward, that was the old jail and it was the original old cemetery. So they did that back in the day. So we're going to say that this cemetery opened in around about 1820 or so, give or take. There is a Chinese section and there's over 300 Chinese headstones here. I don't know a lot about that. So again, if you want to find out about that, do a little bit of research. There was
a whole heap of Chinese that were coming here to the goldfields. They actually set up camp just outside of Ararat and they struck gold big time.
Well, they did.
And so they stayed there. They basically mined until there was no more gold. So a lot of Chinese were here. But the thing was, the Chinese weren't liked by the Europeans. And the sad thing is there was a reward put on Chinese, well, I'm going to say heads, of £10 a head. And so there was a lot of murder, violence towards the Chinese. I'm not going to say all the ones that are in the grave are from that.
No.
But there was a lot that actually went on with the Europeans
sad.
not hating, or hating the Chinese, because they were taking all the gold back to China and not keeping it in Australia. So,
but the thing was, they were the hard workers, because like we learned as well, the Chinese were actually the really hard workers. They went to places that the other Europeans didn't go, and they struck gold big time.
Yeah, but they were working 20 hours a day.
Yeah, crazy.
And stuff like that. So they put in the hard yards and actually struck gold big time. And I think that did annoy and upset the Europeans that had actually come out here to mine for gold.
Yeah, it's a bit of sweet, really. There's a lot of sadness in it, and I guess back in the day there was a lot of glory as well. But that's our time, I reckon, here, investigating and having a little look around. So we hope you've enjoyed it. Yeah, if there's anything that you did want to ask, just pop it in the comments below. But yeah, we're going to end this episode.
Yep.
We will be back next week. I think next week we will be back on the road to adventures somewhere this way, or this way.
Hopefully near water.
Oh, that'd be good. But you know, the thing is, we've come from a really hot to now we've come here and it's quite cold. So you know what? You never know what we're going to get.
That's right.
But I guess that's the fun of it, isn't it?
That's it.
Alrighty, guys. So until we see you guys next episode, thanks for sticking it out for this one. I know it's, as I've said a couple of times in these episodes, it is a bit different.
It is.
It's not for everybody, but if you've made it to the end with us, thank you. We really appreciate it.
And go on adventures, have fun. Please always remember when out there, be safe.